Thanks everybody for taking time to be on the call today or in person today. Just like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I need a motion to approve last month's minutes.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I can't see exactly who all is there, so I'm not, or is there any public comments?
Hey, Tom, we've got Mr. John Bradley here, business owner. I think he would like to address the committee and just talk about some issues he's having along Princess Street.
Sure. The floor is yours, John. Thanks for attending.
Would you like me to start?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is John Bradley, and actually Terry SB asked me to come in and talk. Hey, Terry. So I'm one of the owners of Fox's Hole in the Wall, which is next to Dirty Dan's on Princess Street, and a bunch of owners of businesses and residents of Princess Street had a meeting this past week where we discussed some of the issues that are going on the street, and we think that it's not getting enough attention. So Terry asked me to come in and talk a little bit about what we have going on, because I have direct knowledge of what's happening on the street. I don't want to, this isn't something where I'm here to pile on Dirty Dan's, but it basically all comes back to Dirty Dan's, especially on Friday, Saturday nights. I don't know if a lot of people realize, but they're an 18 to 21-year-old club on Fridays and Saturdays. They get a lot of young kids in there. We're seeing a lot of alcohol usage by the young kids. The way it's directly affecting us is I've had destruction of property. I frequently have people coming out of Dirty Dan's, and it's happened several times now over the past couple of months where they're throwing up in front of the building. They're using the parking lot to the side of us as a urinal. Billy Mellon from Manor has had them urinate, in the entranceway to his building. We get them crowding around our entrance. Fox's is a place that's open till 2 o'clock in the morning. We serve food till 12:30, and we're noticing it does cut into our business. People don't want to walk through the crowds that gather. I've tried talking to the owners of Dirty Dan's. I've had no luck with that. They make the claim that they're not responsible for anything that happens out on the sidewalk. Hey, once it leaves their building, they can't do anything. They'd be held liably responsible, the whole deal along those lines. Many of the other owners of the businesses have had the same thing. One of the residents, they have an alleyway by their residence, and they say it frequently smells of urine. They've actually found some defecation there, although they don't know if that's from a potential homeless or that. The building, the parking lot next to us, they're constantly cleaning up trash that has nothing to do with their customers and everything to do. And they know it is because they said they find the Dirty Dan's gives the people that can drink wristbands. They find hundreds of wristbands thrown in their parking lot. They find cigarette butts, the whole deal. So when you look at what's going on there on Friday and Saturday night, it is not only do I feel that it's a public problem, but it's a health problem. The outside being used as a urinal, and I mean the health department makes me have in my restaurants a plan. If somebody throws up, I have to have actually a written plan to clean that up. Well, now I'm having people do it on the front sidewalk, and it's becoming my responsibility when they're not even my clients. I've had people passed out in front of our building. I've had people so incapacitated that their friends are trying to get them into Ubers, but they're sitting up against the front of the front of my facade, sitting there waiting for Ubers, and then getting in a fight with my people my personnel who are trying to tell them, hey, man, you got to move on. You can't stay here. I can tell you the same thing is happening at Hell's Kitchen. I've talked to Eric, the owner of Hell's Kitchen. He has the same problem. His problem also is that the line they form at Dirty Dan's tends to go out down to the left, so it'll completely cut off the front of his building. He hires doormen in his building. He's had several doormen leave because they don't want to deal with the problems with it. And they're like, I'm not getting in trouble over this. I'm not dealing with this crap. So he's having a hard time holding on to personnel. I don't know how all you need to do is go down there on a Saturday night at 1 o'clock in the morning and see the crazy show that it is. I'm sure the lieutenant, he remembers the days of proof. Okay. The problems, the problems that we had, because I also own Rebellion and we were dealing with proof when we initially opened up. It's a similar situation to proof, except now it's with 18 to 21-year-olds that have no concept of responsibility. Okay. And I hate to say it, but don't, not all of them, but there's a fair number of them that have no respect. So this is what we're dealing with. Terry asked me to come down. One of the things that I've offered is that if the MSD or some other authority wants to put cameras on the outside of our building so that they could keep an eye on what's going out there, I'm not going to pay to put the camera up, but if someone else wants to put the camera up, we'll let them hook into our Wi-Fi so that they can keep an eye. We also share the back parking, not the back part, but the back courtyard with Dirty Dan's. Basically, that area is where they play their loud music, and they play it till. And that's another one of the big contentions is they will play loud music till 2 o'clock in the morning, if not beyond. That music is easily over the decibels coming out onto the street in all directions. The music they play inside, Eric and I've actually witnessed this. The music they play inside actually shakes the chairs in Hell's Kitchen because they have a portion of their building that goes underneath, and they play such a low rumble bass that it'll actually shake the chairs in Hell's Kitchen. So it just is what it is. I don't have the answers, and I'm just here to present what's going on a first-hand basis with that. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I don't really have any further statement.
Well, John, thanks for letting us know. And if Christina's there, she might be able to get you some information. We have a new program through the MSD to actually, it's similar to our facade improvement grant, to add cameras to the outside and tied into the Sting Center with Lieutenant Nichols' his team and things. So he can get you some information on that. And as far as the rest of it goes, I'll turn that over to Lieutenant Nichols to, I guess, I'm not sure how to help there.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, sir, I do completely understand where you're coming from. And unfortunately, that Dirty Dan's and Varnish, and I believe Growlers are the three that are the 18 to 21. I can't go into complete detail. I know we spoke probably a month or two ago. We are working in conjunction with ALE right now. We actually met with another establishment last week, met with the owner regarding the nuisance abatement. It did not meet the criteria for that other establishment, but we spoke obviously about this particular place also last Thursday, and they are going to start digging into that one now that this other one is off their plate. As for the noise, I spoke with Sergeant Ake and Raspet. I guess they were down there the 26th. It was the holiday weekend or Halloween. And I guess they brought the decibel meter out and it was at 76. I know it's 75 or lower before midnight, and then it goes to 65. Please call every time so it is in our system. So when ALE does do something like the nuisance abatement, that's what they go by. If you have to call 10 times a night, please do. I know it sounds repetitive, but it's got to be in there so they can start pulling up these notes in our CAD system saying that we're doing everything we can to our everything that we're able to. My ABC officers, I have 5 of them. They have done ABC checks in there. ALE has cited them for violations. It's been pushed up to the Standards Commission through them. The fire marshals are being proactive. They've been in there twice and also cited for occupancy. So I know it seems like we're doing nothing and we keep pushing it to the back burner, but I promise you, it is definitely on the forefront. They claim, and I guarantee you Friday or Saturday, they'll probably have another band out there. They say that the bands are done for the year. I know that doesn't help come springtime, but we'll see how that goes. But you have my personal number. I can't remember if it was you or somebody
Might have
else.
been my GM, Doug, or my other business partner.
Yeah,
Lieutenant.
one
I
of
don't
them
know-
called
I
me.
don't believe
Somebody
I ever
called me at
got-
like 2:30 in the morning. And like I said, I'm not opposed. My phone's always on me. I come from a different background within the agency where my phone always had to be on. And I spoke to him that night at 2:30 in the morning and got him in contact with somebody within minutes to take care of a situation. So by all means, my phone is always on if there's an issue, and I can make contact with anybody 24/7 down here regarding that. So that's not an issue.
Lieutenant Nichols, I'm also affected by this. We have short-term rental on that street and executive suites. I can't have my guests calling the police.
Right. Okay.
You think about this as a high-end, we had a director with one of the productions that was to stay there, and a good friend. He's now
Right.
been a lot to Wilmington. He had stayed on Princess Street about 4 years ago. It was great. He loved it.
Mhm.
This time he gets in there, he goes, oh my God. The noise is beyond insane. And, I even showed the guys all the reviews on Airbnb and VRBO. Every one of them made a comment about the excess noise and
Noise.
but the last thing I want to do is tell somebody paying, $270
Right.
a night, go ahead and call the police at 2 a.m. That would harm my business even more.
Yes, understood. That's understood.
I've met with Catherine and the city staff about this, and I know they can only uphold the way the regs are currently written.
Correct.
And our comment was, why is it the amphitheater is shutting down at 11 and downtown is allowed to go to 1 or, actually all night.
Right. I'm for it.
So
I understand. And I will meet with my guys again, and I'll post them up there, Friday and Saturday night, and make sure we'll do it every night and just have that decibel reader out there at midnight and make sure it turns down and put the heat on them, and if anything, we can at least make them uncomfortable.
And Lieutenant, my only other thing would be that the hanging around when they come out, or it's the loitering. I can't be asking, my people to go out there and continuously, get them from, I don't know what the loitering statutes are here in Wilmington. I, by the way, have a prior law enforcement background. So,
Right.
30 years in law enforcement. So, but not here in North Carolina. And I can't tell my people really what to do. And when you say call, I don't want them calling 911 over something like this. I mean, what
Right.
number would we call if we wanted somebody to come in and change, something, we're having them loiter, can we at least get the move?
There is a non-emergency number. But to be honest with you, all they're going to do is transfer you over to 911. So if it gets to the point where you have to call, it would be 911. And I understand what you're talking about, the loitering. I met with the DA's office with ALE a month ago. We're trying to come up with something because that is one of the main issues that we're having on Front Street, in front of the Pravda, Growlers, Level 5, the pizza. The bar shut down at 2:00. We have officers, and unfortunately we have, we bring extra down here on the weekends, but they're here till 3:30, 4:00, basically babysitting. So we're trying to come up with, a remedy to figure out the loitering, because that's a lot of the issues. A majority of the issues we're seeing down here are not the patrons of these establishments. It's groups coming down to just hang out and cause trouble and look for trouble. So that's what we're trying to battle right now. And it is kind of a touchy situation. So everybody's battling it. You know, if you go around the corner on Front Street, I know it is super busy, and my guys are telling me the same thing about the Dirty Dan's. It gets super crowded, and then they bring that taco truck up there, and you know, and they just kind of stay. So, like I said, we're trying to figure out. There's a group of us that is trying to come up with a solution to these issues.
I will tell you, I was on the phone with Herbert Zimmer yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
What came out at the meeting we had at Billy's place last week was with the parking management group that the taco truck has pulled up there, and the young people are buying food and then going behind the truck and relieving themselves in the Fisher's parking lot. So needless to say, Herbert and Ronna are not, well,
Right.
it
right.
takes a lot to get Herbert upset, and he was very, very embarrassed. I said, it's not your fault, and we knew you weren't aware of it.
Right.
It's back to the Wild West on Princess Street now, and Princess has always been quiet.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
What are the drinking laws here for 18 to 21?
It's nationwide, you can't drink until you're 21 years old. So it's an 18 to 21 crowd that goes in, and the reason why Dirty Dan's is so hepped up on it is because I understand they're charging $35 to $50 a person. So
Yes,
you know, imagine getting 120, 18-year-olds, and they're making $5,000 just by having them in there. Okay, so you know, when they say print the money, that's printing money. You're basically making pure profit without having to sell product or anything like that. So that's one of the big reasons why the fight with Dirty Dan's is they're making a lot of money off this.
Sounds like there must be some underage drinking.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
I can't, well, let's put it this way. I can tell you that, you know, friends I have who do in different industries, I'll just leave it that way. You know, with either Uber or this or that, they're dropping kids off that they know are, they can tell. You look at them, you know, they're underage. They're already drunk. All right, so they're either drinking, going in there, or they're trying to sneak stuff in, or you know, they're in with a 22-year-old, but they're 19, and they're doing that type of stuff.
So, hey, John, my name's Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Slice of Life. Been downtown since '89.
Right.
And we had the original spot across the street where the Fork and Cork is. now.
Okay, yep.
And the Rhino Club was a whole different thing back then. And we also had a club across the street where there's a vacant lot right now, and I've seen in front what's going on in front of your place. I'm good friends with Billy. That's nothing compared to what we used to deal with. We used to deal with like 3,000 to 4,000 people coming up,
Right.
closing up all of Market Street. So I feel your pain though. I get it, you know. The way to go about this is, have you contacted the property owner?
Well,
You got to contact the property
Yeah,
owner. Because the nuisance abatement isn't really it's going to shut them down, but then the property owner is going to need to understand that in perpetuity, they could never be a club there again. Never serve alcohol.
right. If something happens, we had discussed that
So
in the meeting.
what I would do is, you know, I would probably get together with the new district attorney, Jason, and talk with him about your situation, and have a sit down have him call in the property owner and have a sit down with them and say, you don't want us to use this nuisance, but this is what we got going on here with the amount of problems that we're having. And, you know, the property owner is definitely not gonna, and the property owner then might put pressure on Dirty Dan's, you know, or not renew his lease or something, you know. There's probably something in his lease that would allow him to not do away with this. I mean, you know, if they're breaking the law and stuff like that.
Right.
The problem that we had in the past too was that the police were kind of handcuffed before on going into private clubs. Now there is no private clubs,
right.
number one. Number two is that the sheriff's department and the police department now have deputies and policemen that can enforce ALE laws. That's correct, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. See, before we didn't have that, so they couldn't even go.
Right.
The police couldn't even go inside the establishments. Now they can. So, you know, you know, it's going to be something you're going to have to fight, but it's not a losing battle.
No, I don't, and I don't
You know.
believe it is. I'm part
And
of
going
this.
after the people that are out front and everything, that's useless. You
Yeah.
got to go after.
Oh, and
business.
listen, I'm part of it is I'm trying to be a good neighbor. You know what I mean? I don't want an empty shell next to me either.
Well,
Okay, so it's like, you know,
it got
realize
to the
that.
point. It got
Yeah.
to the point in my place, right, that somebody was murdered in the parking lot next
Right.
to me. That that you know caused the Rhino Club to be shut down.
Right, there's no doubt in my mind, eventually we're gonna have a stabbing or something inside that place. There's too much young testosterone running around, okay, for something like that.
Luckily, you don't have gangs.
Not there,
You
yeah.
probably have some gangs going in there. You probably have a little bit of gang stuff, activity happening as well. Because
Well-
like the lieutenant was saying, and our problem before wasn't really so much the people that were going to the place. It was afterwards, the
That's
people coming down for the scene, you know? And that's what, like, before we had those 1,500 to 3,000 people in the street, they weren't even in the clubs. They were just all coming down to be part of the scene.
Right.
So,
And in that case, they ended up, the DA indicted the building owner and the club owner of the Rhino because they have
Yes.
received numerous notices that it was out of control. So they technically arrested. I think it was all dropped other than the deed restriction that the building could never be a bar again.
but the nuisance
could try-
abatement, that's the one.
Right. And I'm going to bring it up to Jason Smith. That's who we met with ALE about the loitering and trying to figure out how to figure out the Front Street issue with the hanging out. I mean, like I said, these guys are getting out at 2:00, but it's not the patrons. They're coming out, they're going to their cars. Yes, some stuff does spill out as it would anywhere, but a lot of the problems are, you know, individuals are coming down to do that hanging around midnight, 12:30, and they're just there waiting for stuff to start off or start something off. And that it is, you know, just like the Rhino. I mean, I remember back then we actually had to shut down Front Street because of the crowd.
Yep.
Terry, I heard you mention a food truck. Where's the food truck pulling up in parking?
It's in the Fisher's parking lot, not where they used to have the Rolls Royce, but
No, it's almost directly across from Jersey Mike's.
yeah.
Hell's Kitchen, directly across from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah,
So where they're
that's-
doing the
Taco
parking cars
truck.
there, gotcha.
yeah, it's not on
Can
city.
we, I mean, I would,
By the way, that they're in violation. They're not supposed to be within a.
yeah, I was gonna, that's kind of where I was gonna, number one, where are
But
they?
the problem is that nobody,
Code enforcement isn't
Code
out.
enforcement isn't out that late at night. They're not, but if somebody makes,
A
if
complaint.
somebody complaint,
Yeah, that's that's kind of what I was getting. Number one, where the location is. And number two, Terry, you said you spoke to the Zimmers, that's their property, right?
Yeah,
Can they, I mean, as property owner there, it seems like maybe that food truck there could be causing some residual challenges on the block.
Herb said historically, when they were still in the office, they did a little lease with them. So obviously they weren't aware there was a violation with that. But now that they're in their new building, they have leased out their parking lots to, I think it's NC Parking. And he said, Terry, if they've got a side agreement with NC Parking, we're not aware of it. But, you know, that's definitely something to follow up on, that it's not really even allowed that close to other restaurants.
Terry, I'll reach out to the VP of, or collectively, not just Terry, I'll reach out to the VP of NC Parking and and also talk to Catherine and zoning.
It's within 75
About
feet
that one. Is
of
that the
a-
rule, 75 feet? Not on the public right of way, within 75 feet of someone actively selling
Correct.
food, right?
They can't compete.
Yeah, that's in city code. And then just, I mean, I know this is kind of after the fact, residual help, but you know, my assumption is the heavy nights, you guys dealing with challenges are Friday, Saturday night, or is it?
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday mostly.
So Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, can we send the ambassador team
Mhm.
down that block of Princess just for an early eyes and ears on just residual cleaning?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it this Saturday morning and see
Okay.
what it looks like and send some photographs over to them.
I know that's after the fact,
No,
10 hours later, but it's.
Listen, I'm not expecting,
something, yeah.
I didn't come to the meeting expecting miracles, you know what I mean? It's more about education along the line of what's,
What they
so,
report.
you know, what everything's going on. And
Yeah, and what we're getting from the MST team in terms of their reports, what are they seeing that next morning at 8:30, 9 a.m. after
We can
the
help
3,000.
with that, and then I can send a report out to the city manager's office to show them the level of trash that's being.
And again, if
good
you
idea.
want to take my email and send me the information on if you guys want to put a camera up on the front of the building, you know, I'll go ahead and I'll have to talk with my landlord, Mike Lettieri with that. I'm sure he normally goes along with anything I suggest. You know, we could do something like that if that's something that you guys are, or the city is interested in having. As I said, I'm not in a position myself to be putting a camera up to be watching the front like that. It's a new business that's still making its way, so.
I'll give Mike a call and talk to him about it. But we have a grant program, but it's a matching. So some investment has to be put in.
Right.
The life of the property. And I'll give him a call and I'll talk about it. We'll have a meeting. Discuss the
Yeah,
grant.
have a conversation, and if he and I want to split the matching along that lines, I'll want to do something like that as well.
Okay. And yeah, we'll have the ambassadors go out there. I'll go out there Saturday morning and take a look. I'll take some photographs and assess it. And we need to do any pressure washing to remove some of the urine smell the next day. And
That's a lot of the parking lot too. I mean, they deal with that, and the back alleys, you have the alley between the main parking garage and.
Yeah, where it's like grass.
Yeah, in that area there. And like we said, it's not like they're doing it in front of my building, although they actually have, I guess,
okay.
somebody did it in front of Manor. I mean, it's just, so, but,
I'll mention this to Louis and the RTS team too. I mean, they're rolling through there at 2 a.m. And again at 4:30 a.m. collecting the blue bag service. So just for reports and just informational purposes,
Yeah.
I'll get them to report out what they're seeing.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Like the more we have in our Rolodex on all aspects of what's happening, the better.
Yeah, and I appreciate your information, you know, Terry and I, I'm sure we'll get together and.
It wouldn't
talk.
be a bad idea to talk with former, you know, District Attorney Ben David. You know, he's just working across the street with his nonprofit, but he's the one that originally prosecuted the Rhino Club.
Right.
I mean, and they were kind of the same thing as Dirty Dan's. They were both the owner of the property and the, you know, and the operator would not come to meetings.
Right.
So,
Well, the interesting thing about it, the owner of Dirty Dan's is he's an attorney out of Rome. So he has his own law firm, but so, you know, so
well, all the more reason he might
Yeah.
want to stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Legal challenge.
Yeah, you know, he probably knows what nuisance abatement is, and he does not want that on his property.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't want to take up any more of the meeting unless anybody else has another question for me.
I don't have a question for you, sir. I'm mainly wanting to ask Lieutenant, what are the limitations and loopholes in the current statutes and ordinances that are preventing law enforcement from effectively tackling some of these issues? I think sidewalk crowding and street crowding and things of that nature have been going on downtown for many years. Is this something that maybe we can address or continue to address with the new DA?
Really, I'm gonna get up with the fire marshals also, and obviously that's a safety issue, the overcrowding, and that stuff. And like you guys said, now we do have a little more teeth with the ABC officers that are able to go inside and do inspections, with these bars rather than, you know, depend on ABC or ALE agents to do it all. We have them cross sworn, so there are 5 downtown that are cross sworn and able to do that. We're just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna meet with them after this, and we're gonna put a little more pressure on those guys, and hopefully, you know, like I said, just make them uncomfortable. Just showing up is what we're gonna have to do.
You know, I forgot about that. That was a really big one too, was the fire department.
Right.
If they're
And I know
over,
they
if they're
have
over
cited-
capacity,
Yeah.
they're the only entity that can walk in and say, you're shut down.
Shut it down.
They're the
That's
only
correct.
ones. The police can't do it. Health department can't do it. Nobody can do it. Fire department can do it. So, and they got a lot of clout. So, and it seems like, you know, I don't know, they're probably not keeping right at capacity. And that was a big one for the Rhino being shut down as well. So.
Lieutenant, who's our go-to in fire? Is that Chief Walker or somebody else that runs point on the nighttime stuff?
He's Jacob Hawkins is his name. He's a deputy fire marshal down here that he's been newly appointed probably in the last 3 or 4 months, but we meet monthly also and have a good working relationship, and they've been pretty proactive. I know last month they did give a written warning to Dirty Dan's and 3 or 4 other places. So I will reach out to him again also and see if they can continue to check on these guys and put some pressure on them.
If you walk in, can the police like shut the place down if you find underage drinkers that are being
No.
served by the owners?
Nope,
No?
they can only be cited.
That's it.
Cited.
Cited and fined, and then ALE would come in and do their thing. They are aware. Like I said, I can't get into too much about what they have going on, but it is on their, they are very aware of what's going on there.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, John.
Sir.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You might be seeing us all soon for that stack beef sandwich.
BLT.
Absolutely.
Sounds like
Thank you, guys.
sounds like the
Thanks, sir.
party's at Dirty Dan's. So that's
Yeah.
good.
That's right.
We should all go
All
down
right.
there. Crowd
I don't know
out.
if John's still there. Thanks, John, for letting us know all this stuff.
Crowd out, yeah.
If there is no other public there, Chance, I guess we need to move on to new business.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I didn't have any new business, so
Okay.
when we don't have anything, I'll leave it blank, just keeping it open-ended in case any of the committee members had anything to bring to the floor.
Okay. I'll open it up to the floor or committee to bring anything to the floor. Hearing
See how
nothing.
beautiful the Christmas lights look.
Who's responsible for the lights?
Christina?
Front Street and Water Street?
All the lights that are up right now.
And there's trees out there on the beginning of the river walk. They're gorgeous.
It's beautiful. But why
Are
in
they
front of
gonna stay
River
here?
Place wasn't missed?
We
Good
are
question.
working on that. That is a city electric issue. And we are taking inventory tonight, actually.
But the
there's-
poles that aren't working.
The poles are working, but the electrical outlets on the poles are not. So I'm not sure what happened when they installed the new light posts out there, but whenever that happened, it seems that there's a misconnection between the electrical circuit that's powering the lamp post and the electrical outlet that's on the lamp post. So everything's plugged in, everything's ready to go. As soon as power gets to that electrical outlet, it'll turn right on. And there's a number of sections that are currently out because of those types of issues. And in front of River Place is one of them, in front of Water Street condos, right to the side of Veterans Park. There's a few that are not working in front of Hotel Ballast. There's an entire section in front of the Cotton Exchange on the right-hand side if you're going north. That's not on. Basically, Water Street is is very sparse in the amount of power that are to those electrical outlets. Now,
So they
we
were
can,
improperly installed to begin.
well,
I don't know that they've been improperly installed. I don't think anyone came back and checked those courtesy outlets, because the lights are up, the lights are running. They're brand new lights. I mean, you're project that happened from Princess North and even the crossers. And we called traffic engineering down, who maintains those street level lights across the city. On the 100 block when we first encountered it, and he came down and made some tweaks, and I don't know if it's literally just connecting those courtesy outlets with the live wire or not, and got most of that block up. But it looks like Christina and team are encountering the same issue further north on
300 block.
2 to 3 blocks. Yeah,
it's
I just shot a note out to them this morning and copied Christina in, and we got a phone call. We actually got a voicemail about it in our office. So.
yeah.
Is the intention for those lights to stay all year, not lit, but on the poles all year round?
A year round?
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna take them down
We'll
That'd
take
be,
them down and reinstall
and
next
put
year.
them up again?
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of work.
that'd be tacky as hell, Bill.
Pardon?
I said that'd be tacky as
I'm a
hell,
case
Bill.
back.
I get on my neighbors about mid-January. I won't say too much, but
I don't mean them to be lit.
Chris, yeah, even so, Christina really has done a year's worth of work getting those Christmas lights up. Last year when we did that little dab of them, half the outlets didn't work. So, I mean, she's really put a lot of effort into getting that thing done. And
It's beautiful.
I think
I
it
think there
looks
could
great.
be.
It's a
I think
huge
there
thing
could
for
be,
downtown.
if funding is present and some maintenance and management, I think there could be some potential strategic areas that could stay up year
I
round.
like those trees. I mean, it took a lift and all day to do one tree.
Yeah, it took several days to do all of Market Streets, and it looks nice, and Market Street's not done. Monday, they will be installing the cascading lighting that's coming down the median oak trees on each end. So we'll have 2 oak trees that have the drop downs with the lighting, and then on the 4 trees that are at the corners of the sidewalk, there'll be little like light up globes that they'll hang on those trees, all in preparation for the annual tree lighting. We have yet to do the visitor center or decorate the Venus flytrap and that garden area. We just turned on the lights near the George at the Riverwalk, and we are finishing up today Orange Street Landing with the drop downs. Veterans Park is done. Veterans Park is complete. The lighting at the foot of Market Street on the Riverwalk is pretty much complete. We're waiting for some, I have an inventory that I'm sending to Chance that will have, we're waiting on the city to fix those lampposts. If we aren't able to get them fixed before Wednesday of next week, they're just gonna daisy chain and from one electrical outlet to another to light all of the goosenecks. None of the gooseneck lights work in front of the JW Brooks building anymore, but they worked last year. So we're probably at 60% complete on the project for right now. North Front Street is done. We're not doing any more to that except maybe adding a few light strands here and there. And we have to readjust a couple of the trees. But other than that, and I'll do a walkthrough with the contractor because I'm going to start to get real nitpicky with some of these things as far as large gaps of trees without lights on them and things like that. So we'll create a punch list, and they'll come out throughout the year to service. So if we have a storm and things go out, we can get them down here pretty quickly to turn everything back on.
So they look great, but could we save money moving forward to not light it up until at least Thanksgiving gets here? That they were lit like in October. I mean, they look beautiful, but it just seemed like, why are we all lit up for Christmas when we haven't even had Thanksgiving and it was still Halloween? Could we save money that way of not turning them on until?
No, we're lighting it as they go to making sure that
Everything's working.
not everything's working.
Yeah, the power usage is very, very.
Very little, okay. Just trying to save
I
money.
think your biggest challenge by doing that is,
Get them up in time.
I mean, we're only 60% in, and we're into the potentially a close to the 4th week of November.
Yeah,
Still
we
got
should-
40% to go. That
we
tells you
started-
how labor and time intensive.
I mean, it does look beautiful.
I think each year as we do it, if you do the same print, it's gonna be easier and quicker and easier and quicker, but
That's what I wanted.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize how labor intensive this one was gonna be. It's been pretty intense.
You also can work without advertising.
Yeah.
I would think at least the lights that are in the trees probably should, if possible, stay,
Yeah.
just not be lighted.
I like that idea.
Something we could look at. I will say on this subject, it's a good subject because this whole initiative this year, the purchase installation was funded by federal ARPA dollars through the CBB tourism promotion piece. We are hopefully holding back enough funding to fund next year's labor side of this, possibly. But potentially next year and outlying years, we will be looking to figure out how to fund the labor and installation and removal of this process each year, which is looking to be $100,000+ in just labor and contractual work. So
The estimate to do this for labor next year is around $120,000 just in labor. That's not purchasing anything else. It's not adding to the project. That's just taking on the original lights that we have now and reinstalling, reconfiguring that process. We are getting a tremendous discount from this contractor this year. They are supplying all the booms to do it, so we can afford to purchase more material on this. So we've got some good deals running with contractors on this project. Those boom rentals are not cheap. They've also thrown in a few extra things here and there as the project goes along, just trying to make things look more cohesive and doing the best they can to do exactly what they did last year and then some. But according to my calculations, the ARPA funding that we have, I don't think it's really gonna cover everything that we need in terms of labor for next year. WDI has set aside its money, its own money, about $30,000 worth in this fiscal year's budget to cover next year's labor. So we put that in the budget this fiscal year, thinking that we'll put this money towards that next year. We also have $15,000 in special project funding in the MSD that we could potentially use. I don't know if we want to use all of that or if you guys want to use a portion of it, I'm not sure. But that's another funding entity. And then, you know, if we really knock it out of the park this year, perhaps we just try and raise some sponsorships and see if there's some private entities that will want to support the activities and the things that are happening downtown in collaboration with WDI in the city. So we're going to talk about all that in January potentially, because that's when we need to start ordering more things if we want them at a good rate. Things were 5 times the cost when we were looking at them back in October when we finally got the contract and okay to go forward with this, versus looking at things right after Christmas and hitting those discounted sales.
Christina, yeah, we're already getting public input, which is outstanding. And they're asking the same question, are we going to be able to do this next year and build on it? And SAFA may not love me, but I recommended they reach out to the city council and let them know how much they appreciate this. And if the council could build into the budget, city staff, to make sure this is continued. And I have explained ARPA money is not going to hit us again probably in our lifetime, but I think the success already, people are already seeing a major difference. And let's put some of it back to the city to handle.
I would say talk to your council members. As Christine alluded to, there's gonna be a post-holiday meeting amongst the team that's managing the ARPA money that went to the CBB that's funding this first year to see potentially what's covering, what we had to cover next year, where potential deficit might be. It could be that we come back to this group here and ask for some coverage, not only this year, but outlying years. The city's budget forecast for FY '25, which will be next year, is looking pretty bleak right now. We've been told to come into that budget season asking for nothing. And that's across the board departments. So normally we come in with depending on the size of your department and outlook in terms of property tax dollars, sales tax dollars, and all those revenue streams with somewhere between 5 to 10 ask and requests per department. We're being told before our first major budget meeting in December that we're coming in with the request of asking them for 0. So that's kind of what we're looking at on the city side. So we may come back to this committee, if not next year, potentially some of those outlying years.
I noticed.
Thanks, everybody.
This lighting, but they made a big deal about the battleship lighting. And it was lit for about 3 or 4 days. What's going on there? Does anybody know? I said not lighting it.
Their lighting was for Veterans Day. I don't know that they're
Their
gonna.
intention was not to light it again.
So they typically light it the same night that we light our Christmas tree down at Front and Market, or Water and Market. So that kind of segues, and I just want to make an announcement that, the day after Thanksgiving, the 29th, we'll have the annual Christmas tree lighting. This year, I've helped facilitate it for years. This year, with some money that Christina was able to get from the Bring It Downtown people, we have elevated this event. We have a stage, we have a professional PA system this year. We got some bows put on the tree. We actually decorated the tree so you can see it during the day now. We have some new cutouts that were made by a local artist for our hot chocolate. We give away hot chocolate to start. We have Thalian come down that's going to perform, the performers that are doing the Christmas story. We have a professional singer coming. The mayor comes down and lights the tree. Santa comes down in the horse-drawn carriage, and we have a Santa's workshop set up for it's an event that went from like 50 people to now we get several thousand people. And we're hoping this year now with the lighting of, that to elevate that event. So come on down. It's going to be a good one this year. As long as the weather's good. That's the only.
And I'll point this out. Chris started the tree lighting. He's very humble.
Yeah.
As we said, it started out with how should I say, a Charlie Brown tree with maybe 10 people standing there. And they still get out there. He and
Carl Winters had a friend that would bring the tree down.
Yeah, Ray and Chris were the ones that got the thing rolling.
Well,
16 years ago.
Let's see.
great.
The battleship lighting is something that I've tried to speak with Dina about to make sure that it's lit through the holidays. So she was supposed to speak to Captain about doing that, and I haven't heard back from her yet. So I don't know, Ray, you've talked to Dina and the battleship crew about that, but they, potentially have been trying to encourage a little bit of cooperation in getting that battleship lit in festive colors throughout the holiday to complement what all's going on the other side of the river. Everybody was really excited, and you can actually see the battleship from the other side when it's dark. If it's not
nice
lit,
for the few days it was lighted.
if it's not lit, you don't even know it's there. But I'm not sure in terms of budget if
Well, it sounds like they spent quite a bit of money putting that lighting system in.
they did.
Historically, they've lit it the night we've lit ours, historically.
But this is a brand new lighting system.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it was a Veterans Day thing and then pause.
Because we also coordinated with Dalian Hall too in the years past. But that was a Chris thing, that wasn't a me.
Yeah, Aliens hopefully getting lit as of.
Yeah, the Alien Hall is getting lit. Their lighting, we're working on their lighting right now. We have 2 oak trees lit. We have all of the crepe myrtles lit into the entrance. We're getting the columns and on the side, and then we'll probably do, after Thanksgiving, we'll probably do the big, huge columns. Because those are gonna take a boom in order to get the straps on the columns, get the lights on.
Great. If there's nothing else, do we have any old business? Hearing none, then we'll move on to reports. And Lieutenant Nichols, you're up, buddy.
We, last month, we had 10 bar inspections done by those ABC officers. 5 had violations that were sent to the ABC Commission. We had 105 total other charges, 8 being drug charges, 3 DWIs. Like I spoke earlier, we did meet with one of the establishments, reference a nuisance abatement process that was put forward. They did not meet the criteria, but we did meet with the owner. They're aware that if they're doing good now, they're working with us, and they continue, there's not going to be an issue, obviously. We're still seeing large crowds, like we spoke about Friday and Saturday nights. The fire marshals are being very proactive in the past couple months, so they're working hand in hand with us on the weekends. And the only other thing is we have 1 horse that is getting ready to retire December 3rd, and we're looking for another one.
How's the horse doing that was sneaking pizza from people?
He's doing good.
Or so was grabbing pizza.
What did he do?
Where was he having pizza?
Just from folks walking out.
What did the horse do?
Supposedly stealing pizza, right? Ray, were you involved in that? You taking a slice, any slices,
that I know.
any slices
I
of your
have not.
establishment? Feeding them any out the back door to keep them on the good
Feeding
side.
the horses?
We will feed the horses.
That's true.
No, pizza's really the best thing for them.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's why he's going into early retirement.
Yeah.
Well, keep that horse away from city council so they don't cut his pension.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you, sir. If there are no questions for Lieutenant Nichols, we'll move on to WDI's report.
Unless there's any more questions about the Christmas lighting, I think I covered that. Just a couple of things to overview for the MSD. Riverfest was great in October. We had over 1,000 hospitality interactions and 76 buckets of litter were removed. Just to let you guys know, when you're starting to see those buckets counts, now we are including that into our inventory of statistics, because the ambassadors are removing those buckets and dumping them into a bag later. So we haven't been accounting for all the litter that has been going into the ambassadors' buckets while they're on their walking path. So we're taking that into account now. So you'll start seeing that term more and more in your reports. And then we had some crazy graffiti issues last month. Normally October is pretty quiet, but we did have 43 instances of graffiti. We also had over 700 contacts during the Ironman, 32 litter buckets. Again, that new term here that were removed for that, and also help manage foot traffic during the Lighthouse Beer and Wine Festival. This is just from the brief summary of your MSD report. The entire statistics and review are included in your report. If you guys ever have any questions reading through the MSD report, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to answer those questions. In addition, our MSD Ambassador and Outreach Program has been going through, well, not the Outreach Program, but the Ambassadors Program has been going through a little bit of a staff change. We had one 3 months ago that resigned, and then another one we had to let go due to issues that we were having with his performance. So we have been on a hiring spree, trying to figure out, our hiring recruitment, trying to figure out who are going to be the best folks to kind of bolster the team moving forward. Right now, we have hired 2 additional members to the team. One is a full-time ambassador. His name is Levi, and he's doing quite well. And another is a part-time ambassador, came from recommendation by Ambassador Rob. His name is Ambassador Dan, and he was now working as a hospitality ambassador on our streets. So total part-time ambassadors, we have Kat, Rob, Dan, Thomas, and David. Everybody remembers Thomas. He still works for us every once in a while. So we have 5 part-time ambassadors, and our full-time ambassadors are Levi, and then we also have team lead Chris Brown, our outreach coordinator Jack Morris, and of course our wonderful operations manager James Slay. So potentially we have one more, Avery Burgess, who's currently undergoing some background checks right now as an additional full-time hire. So this will kind of, should she perform well on that, we will be fully staffed again. We are actually overly staffed right now in the number of ambassadors that we have. Not going to make too much impact on our overall service hours because we have lost a significant amount of hours having 2 full-time ambassador positions unfulfilled for the past 3 months. We have a lot of hours to recover. We're going to utilize our part-time ambassadors during the holiday seasons to help recover those hours in addition to hiring our full-time staff. So while we're somewhat overstaffed at the moment, we are using that to fulfill some of those hourly operational losses. Those are my updates, unless you guys have any questions about the hiring process or the new ambassadors.
Great, thanks, Christina. And hearing no questions for Christina, we'll move on to the city and Chance, you're up.
It looks like I lost a minute, so 2-minute lightning round for the city to keep Clark Kent proud here. Just real quick, one item that we missed on the holiday lights through the CVB and ARPA initiative is there's also going to be a holiday themed drone light show on the last 3 Saturdays of December. So December 14th, December 21st, and December 28th. There's going to be a 15 to 20-minute holiday themed light drone show. And do we have a time on that yet of when it's happening?
7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. So those last 3 Saturdays in December, 7 o'clock, 14th, 21st, and 28th, light drone show. So spread the word. I'm not sure how much more. I know there's a marketing piece of what's happening with this. I'm not sure how much is getting marketed locally. I know a lot of the efforts are outside of town, but I know WDI has got a piece of the marketing, Bring Downtown, and some other entities.
We have billboards going up. We have radio ads going on. I was just on the radio yesterday, right before preparing for our luncheon, talking about it. And actually, there was one person that was outside of the convention center as I was loading in for our luncheon saying that we did a great job on the radio and she's excited about the drone show. So I know it's effective.
Good.
And then we are going to be releasing a news release to media, pretty much saying the same thing that we released 2 weeks ago in our newsletter. I guess nobody's picking up on it, so I'm going to send it directly to the news outlets with some photographs in an effort for them to start marketing and pushing out this great drone show and lighting projects that we have. And we highlighted the businesses and the carriage rides, the cruises, all the businesses and shopping and things of that nature that are down here. So that should help as well. So in-market marketing is pretty much gone full blast.
Yeah, and the CVB, of course, with the nature of what CVB is, it's mostly outside of the area. We're trying to get people to come into downtown, hopefully spend the night in hotels. The drone show is the part that I've been working on specifically, and we heard some things that not bad things, but things that didn't go as well as possible with Riverfest, and we fixed all those things.
Good.
Where we should have an outstanding drone show all 3 nights.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee us getting the volume of people for July 4th, but I'm hoping there will be an influx of people just coming down for those Saturday nights too. So hopefully that's a big impact for downtown and uptick for the business community.
When I talk to the businesses about the drone shows, one, it's always sparked from the light conversation, but then when I talk to them about the drone shows, they're really excited about it. And
Awesome.
they're kind of building some of their business on the Saturday of the drone show around that, mainly the George. I said, hey, this is happening, and they said maybe we could offer some reserved tables like we do in 4th of July show. And a lot of people are actually happy about it rather than having fireworks. There's people complaining about the noise of the fireworks. So, yeah, if more and more local marketing can be pushed for organizing events around these drone shows, we'll be happy to do it. In addition, when I was speaking on the radio, I told folks about all the promotional things that were happening through the hotels downtown. Maybe that can be, talked about a little bit more, because people who stay there, who have family coming in, instead of staying at the beach, maybe this year it'd be better for them to stay down here. I know you do, I know.
I think it's important that the shows start on the time that's advertised. I don't know what time was even advertised for the previous show, but it seemed like it didn't start for about 45 minutes after.
Yeah, the
people
Riverfest
expected.
show was delayed a little bit. I took my family down there to watch it, and it was slightly delayed. And we stood right there at the Coast Guard parking lot, and we couldn't really hear the music that well. So I'm glad you're amping up.
Christina, where's the location? Where?
Drone.
Yeah, what's the local? I guess I should ask
From
you that.
Battleship Park, and then we've got
Gotcha.
a sound system set up from the federal courthouse all the way down to pretty much the balanced
Cool.
parking lot.
And hopefully
We've doubled the number of speakers, so the sound should be good. But within
Hopefully that won't be
reason,
flooded.
Lieutenant Nichols.
How many drones? What's the total count?
It's
It's like thousands of
Yeah,
drones,
it's a
right?
ton of them. I don't know the number on it, but yes, it's a ton. I was surprised.
Cool.
So the first one's December 7th,
14,
December
14, 21, and 28.
Yeah, the last 3 Saturdays, 7 o'clock.
Hope it's not high tide.
Tide shouldn't affect it because.
The park was flooded 3 days ago.
Well, and we have a plan B. So if the park does flood, they move back to the pavement and they will be launching from the pavement. So that's already been considered. But we've already checked the tides, all 3, and the time frame that we should be good. Around 5 feet is where we start seeing flooding in most of the downtown areas, and everything I believe, I think the highest one was like 4 feet when we look at those time frames. So we should be good.
and how long does the
Almost
show
7
last?
feet last week.
I'm sorry?
It was almost 7 feet last week,
Yeah,
the high tide.
yeah. Well, that even
the
king
parking
tide
We
lot-
have
coming in.
we have the king tides.
Yeah.
Last, we don't have this.
All right, we felled Clark, so I'll end it quickly.
By 4 minutes, we're so close.
Just my annual timing reminder, start thinking budget, what we want to do with some of that fund balance that's still out there. I don't have that number in front of me, but it's still in the $500,000+ range of MSD fund balance. That is can only be used for MSD above and beyond purposes. So just like we recommended and council approved the North Front Street landscape gates and fences, start thinking about those ideas. I'll probably request Christina to come in with her first draft of that budget for the January meeting. And that'll give us, January, February, and potentially March to kind of nail that down.
Is that 500,000 before or after the landscaping?
Yeah, it doesn't include the landscaping, so it's unencumbered in my finance terms. Yeah, it's 500,000+. It's all there.
Do you still have that worksheet on our Apple list of
Sure, of ideas.
ideas?
Yeah. We can send that back out to the group.
Okay.
And then last but not least, just heads up to the committee. In case you haven't heard or seen, the old city offices at 305 Chestnut have started that demo process. I think they started taking pieces down as of this past Monday. I'm not in charge of that project. It's Auburn Economic Development, but I believe it's gonna be about a 5 to 6 week process to get that thing fully demoed. And you're not gonna see a mass dynamite demo process. It's gonna be taking it down with the crane sections and chunks at a time.
Mhm.
So,
It's so funny, we have one building, brand new building going up on one half of the street. On the other side, we have an old building coming down now. It's neat to watch the progress.
Yeah. Yeah, across the street. Across the street, yeah, the older building where the majority of the city offices are. Yeah. Yeah, that building was appraised at a higher value demoed than it was with the standing buildings. Now, that's really what's driving this process, is the value. Potential sell value was appraised at a higher number with just land and demoed building.
Has it been sold or is the city doing a demo?
No, it's actively being marketed to be sold. That's it. 6 minutes late, Mr. Chair.
6 minutes late. All right. So if
Unless
that's
Bill
it, no
messes
questions
this
for,
up.
no questions for Chance. That's right. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Come on.
Hang up or get up.
You guys, we owe each other 7 minutes at our next meeting. So.
That's right.
Thanksgiving.